responsibility for items damaged in transit. The captain of your vessel was given warning at the time of loading that it was not suitable for the carriage of robots. So, damage to its cargo cannot be charged to our account. Yours faithfully, Rossum's Universal Robots. Is that it now?
Yes.
New letter. R.U.R. Hamburg. Date. We are pleased to confirm receipt of your order for 15,000 robots. Hello, central office. Yes. Yes, of course. Send him a telegram. Fine. Now, where were we?
Mr. Germain, there is a lady outside.
Who is it?
I do not know.
Mr. Glory, Managing Director of... Send him in.
Please come in, Ben.
Do come in.
And Mr. Germain, the Managing Director of R.U.R.
At your service.
I've come to see you.
With the visiting card of Mr. Glory.
Mr. Glory is my father. I'm Helena Glory.
Oh, Miss Glory. This is an exceptional honour for us that
You can't just show me the door.
we can welcome the daughter of such an illustrious businessman as your father. Please, have a seat. Sir, you may go now. Now, Miss Glory, how can I help you?
I've come here.
To see our factory for making people for yourself. All our visitors want to see the factory, and of course, you're very welcome.
I thought he wasn't allowed to.
Enter the factory? Well, of course it's not, but everyone that comes here does have a recommendation from somebody, Miss Glory.
Why will you never let me finish?
A sentence? I'm sorry. Is that not what you were going to say?
I was going to ask.
Whether I might show you something of the factory that the others weren't allowed to see. Well, I'm sure that's possible, Miss Glory.
What makes you think I was going to ask that?
Everybody asks that. Making artificial people is an industrial secret, but I can personally show you more than any of the others are allowed to see.
Thank you.
All I ask is that you say nothing to anyone.
My word of honour.
Thank you. Would you not like to take off your veil?
Oh, of course. You'll be wanting to see my face. Do excuse me.
It's all right.
And if you would just let go of my hand?
Sorry.
Are you wanting to make sure I'm not a spy? You seem very careful.
Yes, that's just how we are.
Don't you trust me?
Oh, exceptionally. Oh, do excuse me, Miss Glory. This really is an exceptional honour for us. Did you have a good crossing?
Yes. Why?
Well, because you're very young.
Are we going into the factory now?
Yes. I suppose around 22.
22 what?
Years.
21? Why do you want to know that?
Well, because you will be staying with us for some time, won't you?
That depends on how much you choose to show me.
Ah, damn factory. Well, of course, Miss Glory, you can see everything. Would you be interested in hearing the story of that invention?
Yes, I would.
Then I shall tell you. It was in 1920 when old Rossum, still a young man but a great scientist, came to live on this isolated island to study marine biology. Alongside this, he made several attempts to synthesize the chemical structure of living tissue known as protoplasm. After many years of research, he eventually discovered a substance that would precisely mimic its behavior. That was in 1932, exactly 440 years after the discovery of America.
Do you know all this by heart?
I do. Shall I carry on?
If you like.
And this, Miss Glory, is what he wrote in his chemical notes. Nature has discovered only one way of organising living matter, but I have discovered another, which is simpler, easier to mould, and quicker to produce than nature ever stumbled across. Just think. He wrote these words about a blob of colloidal jelly that not even a dog would eat. Just think. Imagine him sitting there with his test tube, thinking how it could grow into a entire tree of life, starting with a tiny cell and ending with man himself. Miss Glory, This was one of the great moments of history.
Well, what happened next?
What next? Next he had to get this life out of the test tube and speed up its development so it would grow hormones, enzymes, bones, nerves, all sorts of things. Do you understand?
I'm not sure. Perhaps not all of it.
No, I don't understand any of it. It's just that using this slime he could have made whatever he wanted. He could have made a Medusa with the brain of Socrates or a worm 50 feet long. But old Rossum didn't have a trace of humour in him. He got it into his head to make a normal vertebrate. First he tried to make an artificial dog. It took him years and years. The result was something like a malformed deer that died after a few days. I can show you in the museum. And then he set to work making a human being.
And that's what I'm not allowed to tell anyone.
No one whatsoever.
Pity it's in all the papers then.
Yes, it is a pity. But you know what's not in all the papers, Miss Glory? Old Rossum was completely mad. Seriously, quite mad. He actually wanted to make a human being.
Well, that's what you do, isn't it?
Yes, something like that, yes, but he meant it entirely literally. He wanted to take the place of God. Do you know anything about anatomy, Miss Glory?
Not really, no.
No, nor do I. But old Rossum got into his head to make everything. Every gland, every organ, just as they are in the human body. The appendix, the tonsils, the belly button, the spleen, even things without function like sexual organs.
But the sexual organs, they
do have a function, I realise that. But if we're going to be making people artificially, then there's not really much need for them.
I see what you mean.
In the museum, I'll show you the monstrosity he created. It's supposed to be a man, but it lived for only 3 days. It's horrible. Just horrible. But on the inside, it's got everything a man is supposed to have. Really, the detail is quite amazing. And then, old Rossum's nephew came to live out here. Now this man, he was a genius. As soon as he saw what the old man was doing, he said, well, this is ridiculous, to spend 10 years making a man. If you can't do it quicker than nature, then you might as well just give up on it. And then he began to study anatomy himself.
That's not what they say in the papers either.
Oh, what they say in the papers is nonsense. They say that the old man invented the robots himself. He might have been all right for a university, but he had no idea about industrial production. It was young Rossum who came up with the idea for making robots.
I remember when that word was first used. It caused quite a stir, and nobody knew what it meant.
Yes. It was young Rossum that coined it. Robots. Artificially created people. A living, intelligent workforce. What they say in the papers about the two great men working together is just a fairy story. They never stopped arguing. In fact, the old atheist, he had no idea about industry and commerce. I mean, he thought he'd be making real people, real politicians, real professors, real idiots. So eventually, young Rossum locked old Rossum into his laboratory while he carried on with the real work. Until they found old Rossum dead.
What did the nephew do?
Now, young Rossum. This was the start of a new age. He took one good look at the human body and realised straight away it's far too complicated. Any engineer worth his salt would design it far more simply, so he began to redesign the whole thing. In short, Sorry, Miss Glory, I'm not boring you, am I?
No, quite the opposite. This is fascinating.
Young Rossum said to himself, man is a being that does things like go for a walk, play the violin, or feel happy. All sorts of things that's simply not needed.
Oh, I see.
No, wait. Simply not needed for activities like yarning or calculating. A petrol engine doesn't have any tassels on it, Miss Glory, and making an artificial worker is like making a petrol engine. The simpler you make production, the better you make the product. What sort of worker do you think is the best?
The best sort of worker? I suppose one who is honest and dedicated.
No. The best sort of worker is the cheapest worker. The one with the least amount of needs. What young Rossum invented was a worker with the least needs possible. He threw away everything that wasn't of vital use to his work. In other words, he threw out the man and put in the robot. Miss Glory, robots are not people. They're stronger than we are. They're cleverer than we are. But they have no soul.
They do say that man was created by God.
So much the worse for them. God has no idea about modern technology.
I saw my first robot in our village. They bought him. I mean, they'd employed him.
Bought, Miss Glory. Robots are bought and sold.
They obtained him to work as a road sweeper. I watched him working. He was strange, quiet.
Did you see my typist?
I didn't really notice her.
You know, R.U.R. has never really made individual robots, but we do have some that are better than others. And the best ones can live up to 20 years.
And then they die, do they?
Yes, they get worn out. Summer, come in. Let our guest have a look at you.
Pleased to meet you. It must be very hard for you out here, cut off from the rest of the world.
I do not know the rest of the world, Miss Glory.
Where are you from?
From here, the factory.
Oh, you were born here.
Yes, I was made here.
What?
So that isn't a person, Miss Glory. She's a robot.
No.
It's all right, she doesn't have any feelings. You can examine her. Feel her face. See how we make the skin.
Oh, no, no.
It feels just like humans. It's even got down on the neck. Maybe the eyes are a little bit too small, but well, look at the hair. Turn around, Scylla.
Stop it!
Speak to our guest. We're very honoured to have her here.
Please sit down. Did you have a good crossing?
Yes. Yes, very good, thank you.
It would be better if you did not go back on the Amelia, Miss Glory. The barometer is dropping fast. Wait for the Pennsylvania. That is a very good ship.
How big is it?
It is 12,000 tons and can travel at 20 knots.
That'll do now, Scylla. Show our guest how well you speak French.
You speak French.
I speak 4 languages. I can write Dear Sir, Monsieur, Guilty Hair, Sini Pain.
That is all humbug. You're all charlatans. Sulla's not a robot, she's a living girl. Sulla, you should be ashamed of yourself. Why are you acting like this?
I am a robot.
No, you're lying. Oh, I'm sorry, Sulla. I realise they forced you to do it just to make their products look good. Sulla, you're a living girl like I am. Admit it.
I'm sorry, Miss Glory, but Scylla really is a robot.
You're lying.
Looks like I'm going to have to convince you. Maria, will you take Scylla down to the dissection room and have her opened up?
Where?
The dissection room. Once they've opened her up, you can come down and have a look.
I'm not going there.
I'm sorry, Miss Glory, you did say something about lying.
You're going to have them killed.
You can't kill a machine.
Don't worry, Sulla. I won't let them take you. Do they always treat you like this? You shouldn't put up with it, do you hear?
I am a robot.
I don't care what you are. Robots are people just like us. Sulla, would you really let them cut you open?
Yes.
And aren't you afraid of dying?
I do not understand dying, Miss Glory.
Well, do you know what would happen to you then?
Yes, I would cease to move.
This is terrible.
Maria, tell the lady what you are.
A robot. Maria.
And would you take Scylla down to the dissection room?
Yes.
Would you feel pity for her?
I do not understand pity.
What would happen to her?
She would cease to move. She would be placed on the scrap heap.
That's what death is, Maria. Are you afraid of death?
No.
There you are, Miss Glory. Robots don't cling to life. There's no way that they could. They have no sense of pleasure. They're less than the grass.
Oh, stop it.
Maria, Scylla, you may go.
What you're doing here, it's vile.
Please, Miss Glory, come over here to the window. What do you see?
Bricklayers.
Robots. All the workers here are robots. And over here, what do you see?
Some kind of office.
It's the accounts department. They're all robots. And over here is the factory. lunchtime. The robots have to be told when to stop working or they just wouldn't know. When they get back, I'll show you the mixers.
What mixers?
For mixing the artificial flesh. Each one of those vast machines can mix enough material for 1,000 robots at a time. Then there are the vats of liver and brain and the bone factory. After that, I'll show you the spinning mill.
What spinning mill?
Where we make the nerve endings and the veins. And then the intestine mill, where miles of tubing is piped out every hour. And from there on, we go to the assembly room, where all these things are put together. It's like making a car, really. It's fascinating to watch. And after that, newly made robots are put to work. They learn how to speak, write, do arithmetic. They've got amazing memories. If you read them an entire 20-volume encyclopedia to them, they could repeat it back to you word for word, but they never think of anything new. They'd make marvellous university lecturers. After that, the robots are shipped and sorted, distributed, 15,000 of them a day, not including the ones that are defective and go back onto the scrap heap, and so on and so on.
Are you cross with me?
Oh, God, no. I just thought maybe we'd talk about something different. There's just a few of us here on this island, surrounded by hundreds of thousands of robots, and all we do is talk about production levels day in, day out. It's so dreary.
I'm very sorry I called you a liar.
Come in, ladies!
Not disturbing you, are we?
Do come in, ladies. Miss Glory. Miss Hellman. Sorry, Dr. Hellman, Miss Fabry, Miss Horquist, and Dr. Gould. Mr. Glory's daughter.
Oh,
Good afternoon.
we had no idea. This is a great pleasure. Hello. What's going on here?
Miss Buster. This is Mr. Glory's daughter.
Pleased to meet you.
Oh, how wonderful. Miss Glory. Would you mind if I send a telegram to the newspaper to say that you've come here?
No, please, don't do that.
Please, have a seat.
Oh, after you.
Will you be staying here long?
Oh, Miss Glory, did you have a good journey? What do you think about that?
Ladies, please. Let Miss Glory speak.
What am I supposed to say?
Whatever you like.
Should I be open with them?
Of course you should.
Tell me, do you not mind the way you're treated?
Treated by whom?
Any of these people?
The way we're treated? How do you mean? My word, Miss Glory.
Do you not think you could have some kind of better existence?
That depends, Miss Glory. What do you mean?
What I mean is that this is vile. It's horrible. The whole of Europe is talking about what's going on here and the way you're treated. Well, that's why I've come here. To see for myself. And I find it 1,000 times worse than anyone thought. Oh, how can you bear it?
Bear what?
Your position here. You are people just like we are, for God's sake. Well, just like anyone else in Europe. Well, anyone else in the world. It's a scandal the way you have to live. It isn't worthy of you.
Oh, dear me, Miss Glory.
I think there might be something in what Miss Glory says. We really do live here like a bunch of hermits.
Oh, worse than hermits. May I call you sisters?
Oh, why on earth not?
Sisters, I haven't come here on behalf of my father. I've come here on behalf of the League of Humanity. Sisters, the League of Humanity now has more than 2,000 members. There are 2,000 people who are standing up for you and want to help you to bring an end to all this.
2,000 people. Dear me, that's quite a decent number. That's very nice indeed.
Do you hear, ladies? They haven't forgotten about us. They want to help us.
What sort of help do you have in mind? A theatre performance, perhaps? Oh, an orchestral piece.
Oh, more than that. I'll stay here for as long as it's needed.
Oh, dear me, that is good news.
I'll go and get the best room ready for Miss Glory then to be.
Just a second, Horquist. I don't believe Miss Glory has finished speaking yet.
No, I haven't. Not unless you mean to shut me up by force.
Oh, Harry, how dare you?
Oh, thank you. I knew you'd protect me.
Excuse me, Miss Glory. Are you sure you're talking to robots?
Well, who else would I be talking to?
I'm afraid these women are people, just like you are.
You aren't robots.
Oh, God, thank you very much.
On my word of honour, we are not robots.
Then why did you tell me all your staff were robots?
All our staff are robots, but not the management. Let me introduce them. Miss Fabry, General Technical Director. Dr. Gore, Head of the Department of Research and Physiology. Dr. Hellman, Head of the Institute of Robot Behaviour and Psychology. Miss Busman, Commercial Director. And Miss Orquist, Head of Construction here at Rossum's Universal Robots.
I am so sorry, ladies. Oh, this is terrible. What have I done?
No, it doesn't matter, Miss Glory. Please, sit down.
What a stupid girl I am. Now you're going to send me back on the next ship.
Oh, why would we want to send you back?
Because now you know. Now you know I want to destroy your business.
There have already been hundreds of saviours and prophets here. More of them arrive every day. Anarchists, missionaries, the Salvation Army. I'm amazed how many churches and madmen there are in the world.
And you let them talk to the robots.
Well, why not? If you like, I can take you down to the storeroom and you can talk to them yourself.
Yes, all 457,000 of them.
You can lecture them on whatever you like. You can read to them from the Bible, logarithmic tables. You can even preach to them about human rights.
But I just thought if they were shown a little bit of love.
That's impossible, Miss Glory. They wouldn't understand such a concept.
Why do you make them?
That's a good one. Why do we make robots?
So that they can work for us, Miss Glory. One robot can take the place of 2.5 workers. The human body is very imperfect. One day it had to be replaced by a machine that would work better.
But people, they cost too much.
They were very unproductive. And besides, to give birth to a machine is wonderful progress. It's more convenient, it's quicker, and anything that's quicker means progress. Nature had no notion of the modern rate of work. From a technical point of view, the whole of childhood is quite pointless, simply a waste of time.
Oh, stop it!
As you like. But may I ask you, Miss Glory, what exactly does your League of Humanity stand for?
It's meant to protect the robots, to make sure they're treated properly.
That's not a bad objective. A machine should always be treated properly. In fact, I agree with you completely. I never like it when things are damaged. Miss Glory, would you enroll all of us as paying members of your organisation?
Oh,
No, you don't understand. What we actually want is to set the robots free.
But you are free.
They should be treated the same as people.
You mean they should have the vote? And do you think they should also be paid a wage?
Well, of course they should.
And what do you think they do with their wages?
Well, they'd buy things they need. Things to bring them pleasure.
Well, that all sounds very nice, only robots don't feel pleasure. And what are these things they're supposed to buy? They can be fed on pineapples, straw, anything you like, it's all the same to them. They haven't got a sense of taste. There's nothing they're interested in, Miss Glory. It's not as if anyone's ever seen a robot laugh.
Well, why don't you make them happier?
We couldn't do that. They're only robots. They have no will of their own, no passions, no hopes, no soul.
And no love, and no courage.
Well, of course they don't feel love. Robots don't love anything, not even themselves. And courage? I'm not so sure about that. A couple of times, not often mind, they have shown some resistance.
Resistance?
Well, nothing in particular, it's just that sometimes they seem to sort of go silent. It's almost like an epileptic fit, robot cramp they call it. Or one of them will suddenly smash whatever is in his hands, or stand still, or grind its teeth. And then it goes on the scrap heap. It's clearly a technical malfunction.
Some sort of fault in production.
No, that's their soul.
You think the grinding teeth is the beginnings of a soul?
We can fix that problem, Miss Glory. Dr. Gore is working on some experiments on it right now.
Oh, not quite yet,
domain. At present, I'm working on nerves for feeling pain.
Nerves? For feeling pain?
Yes, that's right. Robots have virtually no sense of physical pain. Young Rossum, he simplified the nervous system just a bit too much.
Why, if you don't give them a soul, do you want to give them pain?
For good industrial reasons. You see, they stick their hand in a machine and cut off a finger, or they even smash in their heads. It matters not to them. But if they felt pain, well, it would be an automatic protection against injury.
And would they be happier if they feel pain?
Oh, quite the opposite. But it is a technical improvement.
Why don't you create a soul for them?
Oh, that is not within our power.
And it wouldn't be in our interest.
It would cost too much. Consider how cheaply we make them. $120 each, complete with clothing. 15 years ago, they would have cost $10,000. 5 years ago, we had to get clothing in for them, but now we have our own yarn clean mills, and even sell material at a fifth of the price of other mills. Tell me, Miss Glory, what is it you pay for a yard of cloth?
I don't know.
Tell me. Unless you wanting to establish the League of Humanity. Cloth nowadays is 3 times cheaper, miss. The price of everything is 3 times cheaper, and it's going down all the time.
I don't see what you mean.
Dear lady, what I mean is that the price of labour is getting cheaper. Even with its food, a robot costs no more than 3/4 cent per hour. It's wonderful. Every factory is buying up robots as quickly as they can to reduce production costs, and frankly, those that aren't are going out of business.
Yes, that's right. And throwing their workers out on the streets.
Yes, of course they are. And while they're doing that, we are putting 500,000 tropical robots out onto the Argentine pampas to cultivate wheat. What is it you pay for a loaf of bread where you come from?
I've no idea.
There you are, you see. In good old Europe, a loaf of bread now costs 2 cents, but that bread comes from us, do you see? 2 cents a loaf, and the League of Humanity has no idea. In 5 years' time, the cost will be 1/10 cent. We'll be drowning in wheat, and everything else you can think of.
And all the workers in the world will be out of a job.
Yes, they will, of course. Yes, they will, Miss Glory. Because in 10 years' time, Rossum's Universal Robots will be making so much wheat, so much material, so much of everything, that nothing will cost anything. People will be able to take whatever they need. There won't be any poverty. There won't be any jobs. That's true, because there won't be any jobs. Everything will be done by living machines. People will do only the things that they want to do.
Do you think that's really going to
It
happen?
couldn't possibly not happen. There might be some terrible things that happen before that. It just can't be helped. But then man will stop being the servant of other men or slave to material things. You won't need to lose your soul doing the things that you hate.
Zemaine, don't you think you're making all this sound too much like paradise? I mean, wasn't there something good about serving others? Something great about humility? Wasn't there some sort of dignity in working hard and getting tired after a hard day's labour?
Perhaps there was, but we can't always go around worrying about the things we'd lose by changing the world for better. Adam earned his bread by the sweat of his brow. He had to suffer thirst and hunger and tiredness and humiliation. Now is the time that man can go back to the paradise where God fed Adam, where man was free and supreme. He would never again have to suffer labour and anguish. His only task now would be to make himself perfect, to be the Lord of creation.
Now you're confusing me. I really wish I could believe in all this.
But you are much younger than we are, Miss Glory. Just you wait and see.
It's all quite true. I think Miss Glory would like to have breakfast with us.
Of course you will. You must offer the invitation on our behalf to men.
Miss Glory, would you do us the honour?
But how can I now?
On behalf of the League of Humanity.
Oh, yes.
Oh, well, in that case.
Oh, that's good. Will you excuse us for 5 minutes?
Oh,
breakfast. The robots do all the cooking for us here, but as they have no sense of taste, it's not always palatable. Anyway, Hellman is excellent with meat, Gall does a sort of sauce, and Busman makes omelettes.
It's going to be quite a feast. What do the others do?
Orcus sets a table and Fabry brings some fruit. It's really a modest kitchen, really.
There's something I wanted to ask you.
Yes, there was something I wanted to ask you too. 3 minutes.
What was it you wanted to ask?
No, after you. You asked first.
Maybe it's stupid of me, but why do you make female robots when...
When gender has no meaning for them.
That's right.
It's just a matter of supply and demand. Shop staff, housemaids, typists, people are used to them being female.
And towards each other. The male robots and the female robots,
They're simply indifferent. There's no sign of attraction whatsoever.
Oh, that's horrible.
Why?
It's just so unnatural. One doesn't know whether to loathe them, to envy them, or to...
Feel sorry for them?
Most likely, yes. What was it you were going to ask?
Ah, yes, Miss Glory. I was going to ask you if you would marry me.
What?
Marry me?
No! No, what are you thinking?
2 minutes. Now look here. You don't marry me, well, you can hardly marry one of them, can you?
This is awful! Marry one of the robots!
A robot isn't a woman.
And that's all you want, is it? I get the impression you'd marry anyone who turned up here.
Enough have turned up here already.
Young?
Young.
But why didn't you marry one of them?
Because I didn't lose my head until today. Until you took off your veil.
I know.
1 minute.
But I don't want to, for God's sake!
Either you look me in the eye and say something quite repulsive so I drop you, or else...
You're just a ruffian!
That doesn't matter. A man is supposed to be a bit of a ruffian. That's part of being a man.
You're mad!
People are supposed to be a bit mad, Helena. That's the best thing about them.
Oh, God.
There you are, you see. Are you ready now?
Please, let go of me! You're crushing me!
Your final word, Helena.
No, not for anything in the world!
Everything finished in the kitchen?
Yes.
Here too.